Hello, everybody. This is Lynn Kanuka, SportMed BC's RunWalk coach, and I'm so glad once again you've decided to join me today and my special guest. We have the privilege of talking to you about life beyond 10 kilometers. At this point, if you're joining us, it's because you've been preparing for a 10K. Could be that crazy event on the screen right there, the Vancouver Sun Run, the 30th anniversary coming up in 3 weeks' time on April the 27th. Or you could be preparing for a 10K in your community, as far north as Fort St. John, to the interior, to Kelowna, to Terrace, all the way up to Haida Gwaii, and even on the island, whether it's Vancouver Island and whether it's just anywhere in the interior. There have been so many events that have sprung up as a result of SportMed BC's Sun Run InTraining program. So thank you for taking this next half hour. Hope you got your lunch. My guest said maybe you picked up a donut. I don't know. That might help you. It might help you get through. And we're going to carry on. There is no finish line. And I can tell you that right now, I've never enjoyed my running more. I don't run like I once did. That's me there in that crazy race in Los Angeles. If you can recall, it means you're dating yourself. I was an Olympic bronze medalist that day in 1984, but this is me now, really, right here, out on the trails, along the ocean, in the mountains. When I have an hour to myself and I've got my shoes in the car and I'm in a beautiful place, I can't think of anything I'd rather do than just get out there and either walk or run, depending on how I'm feeling, and just experience that fresh air, me, myself, and I out there, just being active. So I hope that by now, 10 weeks into the program, that you've discovered how great you feel when you are out there walking or running. And whether it's become your passion or not, whether it's the goal of completing a 10K and then you're going to be done with it, or whether you want to take it further in your running and walking. What I really hope as your coach is that you've discovered how good being active makes you feel, and that somehow or another with this baseline of RunWalk fitness, you will take that to a place that works for you. It could be any activity, but you have that fitness now that will allow you to explore all kinds of possibilities. Now, my guest presenter is here, my good friend Lorne, from Peninsula Runners in White Rock, part of the conglomerate of sponsors collected around the InTraining program and the Sun Run. Lorne works and has been part of the Peninsula Runners family for a long time and a part of the Sun Run stores, and hosts umpteen clinics and has seen runners from the couch to marathon many times over. Lorne, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome, Lynn.
Awesome. I hear you loud and clear, too. Is that you, Lorne? Is that you in the picture?
Holy smokes. I'm old enough to be in that picture, but I'm not in that one.
Oh, I don't have a picture of you. Listen, everybody, I hope that that's how you feel. Wouldn't it be nice to feel that way every day? Just that joy in your step. Some days we have good days, some days not so good days. But, for the most part, I'll tell you what, a day that I can get out and go for a jog is a really good day. So I hope that in your experience, for the most part, you're feeling healthy, happy, and really looking forward to completing your 10K wherever you may be. Now, this might be you on the start of the Sun Run, starting line, the performance athletes right at the front, streaming all the way through to the walkers. The performance athletes at the front will be finished before the walkers even manage to start, get across that starting line. So, all ages, shapes, and sizes in the Vancouver Sun Run, and it's 30 years. I was there 30 years ago. I'll be there this year, and I'll tell you what, do I need 55,000 plus people to go for a jog? Lorne, do you?
Oh, I'll be there.
I'll be there posted, perched on the Cambie Street Bridge, watching people this year, cheering people, and supporting all those that I've managed to have some say in what they are doing as far as preparing for this great event. I ask you, before we get into Life Beyond 10K, it's time now for you to actually see yourself if you're in the Sun Run. See yourself on Georgia Street. See yourself in the masses, feeling excited, strong, finding your position and holding your ground down Georgia Street. If you're in your own community, you've got to see yourself on that starting line and excited, knowing you're prepared, ready to experience that 10 kilometers, knowing what it might be like along the course, feeling strong, always ever positive, ever positive. This is partway, this is along English Bay during the sun run. Still, we're now about 5 miles in, and check this, well, about 4 miles in, I guess, and check out how in the middle of the event itself, there's still so many people surrounding you everywhere, inspiring and motivating. And then, of course, no matter the event, victorious on the home stretch. And this is the Cambie Street Bridge. This is not too far now from the finish, which will be just on your right down towards BC Place Stadium. And you know, everybody, it's all about the experience. It's the people you're with. It's the camaraderie, whether it's your family, whether it's friends, if it is you yourself doing this thing on your own, then by now you have shared with other people and experienced what it's like to have the support of others around you. Lorne, when you're embarking on a journey that requires you to prepare for an event, how important is it to have the support of people around you?
Oh, most definitely. It just helps the mental aspect so much when you have a positive atmosphere surrounding you.
It takes a time commitment to decide on a goal, to set a goal, in this case a 10K goal. And then it takes that sort of motivation and inspiration in you from within to take that another step and decide on what might be another challenge. And so let's go there. Let's go there now. Talk about possibilities. Hey, Lorne, do you recognize that boy in this photo here?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
do? Yeah.
Robbie.
It is. This is my son who decided a number of years ago to, do and train for the Vancouver Sun Run. And I'll tell you what, there is no substitute for sharing, and it's so inherent to being successful with your goals. Having support. You set that goal, you follow a plan, you choose something that's realistic for yourself, and you engage those around you. And, we're going to get into discussing what it might take to prepare for half marathon and marathon. Now, you're talking about a pretty significant time commitment. And certainly at least once a week when you're having to complete a longer run that could take anywhere from, a couple of hours to 3 or 4 hours on a Saturday or a Sunday, which is time either away from your family or with a family member, and the support required at home, in your workplace, and so on, when you're a little bit more tired, when you've got, just things to consider when you embark on a half marathon journey. What about that sort of time commitment, Lorne?
It is a little bit more than what a lot of people expect, sort of thing. Like the 10K itself is a big commitment, as a lot of you've already found out. That 3 days a week that you commit, sort of thing, and it's almost like, I wouldn't say doubling it sort of idea, but certainly on that Sunday or the Saturday, as you say, that longer run, when not only you're running for 3 or 4 hours possibly, sort of thing, but there's also the hour that you had to get up and travel to get to where you were, and then when you finish, sort of thing, there's also that extra hour sort of idea to talk to your friends and stuff like this, maybe go for coffee afterwards, sort of thing, that again you're away from your family. So that's that 4 hours all of a sudden becomes 6 or 7 hours sometimes. That your weekend is almost gone, kind of thing. That certainly the first part of the morning, sort of thing. So it is a really, really big commitment that some people just don't expect. Now that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that you just schedule it accordingly, sort of idea, and that it really is okay to miss a workout, like one workout or 2 workouts during the course of the program, and everybody will because of sort of time commitments and everything like that, and that's okay, sort of thing. So some people are really, really scared that, I'm going to miss a workout and then I'm going to have to start from zero again, and it's just not the way. So there's so much about it, to know.
Well, there is, and the thing about running and walking is just that consistency, and I'm hearing that from you in what you're suggesting there too, is that you've got the support enlisted in your family members and around within your life, but with running and walking, it's really important to be consistent in your commitment. So it does require the 3 sort of minimal training days a week, and then on upwards, depending on what your goals are, 4, 5, 6 days. And certainly you've got to consider that longer, the longer endurance run walk that has to take place once a week as part of a half marathon program. So you will find that I put this slide in here about love everywhere because you know, when you're in a half marathon program, you do spend a lot of time with those that you are training with, and you will talk about absolutely everything to the nth degree when you're out there pounding the pavement getting your mileage in. So and it's fun. It's very fun. The bonds that are formed are really very, very special and often end up being lifelong friendships that you know, extend forever in terms of travel and way beyond what you're doing when you're actually preparing for the marathon. I know you've seen that in the sort of Peninsula runners half marathon family, Lorne.
And it really is a family, you know, after a while sort of thing. And, you know, people get really, really close and stuff like that. And that's the nice thing about running with a group as opposed to trying to do it on yourself as well, because you feel like part of the family and you want to be there sort of thing. You make that extra effort, you know, as part of your motivation to be there for the group sort of thing.
Exactly.
Which is kind of an interesting phenomenon that takes place during training sort of idea. Yes, some days it will be hard to get out the door sort of thing, but it's like, oh, the group is waiting for me. So
well,
I've got to be there.
Right. It is what happens. And you know, through the InTraining clinics that take place around the province and just any experience with respect to RunWalk clinics at large is just that it may start off being something you are doing for yourself. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you feel like you just want to be a little more active, and it's more physical. But in the end, it becomes about the people that you're connected to that really and truly gets you to that finish line in the best way possible. I just want to dial it to my listeners here, to those that are listening, because we've got all sorts of ability levels and goals that can be taking place. So some of you are going to be Walk 10K graduates very soon. So I wanted to suggest that you have options available to you in that you may decide that you simply want to maintain. You've now, you know, been able to become comfortable walking up to a 10-kilometer distance, which takes a goodly amount of time. I always say walkers and Nordic walkers, you're endurance athletes already. It takes longer to be out there and complete a walking event than it does for those that run in general. And quite often that requires, you know, more sustenance than it does to be a runner that completes it in, you know, 50, 60 minutes or less. So you could decide that you want to just maintain what you're doing. And here's an example of what I suggest is that you vary the distances. I do this whether you're a runner or a walker. The principles are the same. It's nice to vary the distances that you're out there. Chances are, because of that, you'll vary the speed a little bit that you complete, and it'll change the way that your body makes contact with the ground, and it just keeps things a little bit more interesting for you. This information will come to you post programming, so you don't have to take notes or anything. We'll send all this to you. But I suggest a maintenance program that provides a variety of amounts of time that you might be out there completing different walks, okay? You may, as a Walk 10K graduate, I have many walkers that decide this and many that don't, you may decide you'd like to consider learning to run once you've come through the Walk 10K and you just decide, oh, I see people out there doing what we call the shuffle, the cha-cha, easy peasy, learning to run in a very easy, doable fashion, minimizing impact, and some of you might consider the Learn to Run program. Some of you may consider picking up those poles that you've seen, those appendages that you now see so many people utilizing. Wonderful support for walking. Makes walking more of a fitness experience by engaging the upper body so fully and completely. And not only that, those of you that require a little more support, it gives you that component as well. So love, love, love Nordic walking as an example. Learn to run grads. Now I'm just getting to this before we get more specific into the half and full marathon ideas. Those of you that are learn to run graduates, you have progressed to where you are either running 10 and 1s, those magical 10 and 1s where you're running 10 minutes and walking 1 minute, or you've progressed to where you've been able to run 10K completely without injecting a 1 minute walking component. Again, you'll see, I suggest that you could choose to be on a maintenance program where you're simply altering the times that you're running 3 times a week, and you keep that consistent pattern going so that sometimes you're maybe in the 20-minute run, you're running a little quicker than you would if you were out for a 60-minute run. It stands to reason, and it's an injury preventive component to this whole thing as well, keeping it more interesting, looking forward to less time. Another day you're looking forward to a little bit longer run, and so on and so forth. Now,
this slide,
yeah,
the slide that you have there, I consider those 20-minute runs that you had there a recovery day.
Right.
And a lot of people think, well, 20 minutes, that's nothing now. Like people that I coach when I'm coaching the marathon clinic here are now saying, oh, 15 miles, that's nothing now. We don't even get tired. It's not even worth doing, sort of thing. We should be doing more. And it's like, no. I said, you know, last week you did a longer run, sort of thing. Now we have to rest and recover and get our strength back and stuff like that. And sometimes for those 20 minutes, you know, on the calendar, sort of thing, I look at those as active rest days. And then I'll look at that 40-minute run in week 1 that you had there as being my progressive day, where I would do, you know, suggest something like a tempo run or something that's just a little bit faster, but not, you know, overly, depending on your ability, sort of thing, not so much like a really hard interval day or something like that, but something just a little bit faster. And then that longer run, which you had on there for 60 minutes, that's your endurance day. And this is one of the big problems with people think that they have to run their day 1 or day 2 of training. They have to run their day 3 at the same pace as they do those other days, sort of idea. And it's like trying to get people to slow down to get faster is a really, really foreign concept to a lot of people.
It is.
You know? Yeah. So, you know, on that 60-minute day, you really want to go nice and easy, and the longer you are on your feet, the better it is for you, kind of thing. So, you know, it's not about the speed. It's just about being out there on your feet, sort of thing.
Exactly. And, you know, just speaking to that concept of, you know, necessary slow running, recovery running, when I've got the Kenyans in town, the Africans in town, preparing to run, you know, the Vancouver half and full marathons, they've stayed in my home, and I can tell you that they know what it means to recover run, and they go at a snail's pace. Most people are out there definitely running so much faster, even on their easier runs for themselves. And these Kenyans will literally go at a snail's pace, sometimes 8, 9, 10 minutes a mile pace for an easy easy hour recovery run, maybe longer. It depends where they're at. But my point is, it's so slow. Even the kids that I train for the track are amazed how slow they go, and they want to go faster. And I say, hey, slow down. You've got a recovery effort happening here. Nothing more than that. So and meantime, these guys will then go to the track the next day and whip off, you know, 2400s in 60 seconds, right? So got to have that contrast in the legs, folks.
Yeah, that was really important to mention there, the fact that although they're running at 8, 9, 10 minutes pace, which for a lot of us is our race pace,
yeah,
their race pace is in that 4:30 to sub 5 minute pace per mile, not kilometer, but per mile. So it's, you know, considerably, you know, twice and sometimes 3 times as fast as what we would normally run.
Right.
But yet when they do their slow runs, they run at slower than our race pace or slower than our training pace just for that recovery. And to get my guys to run that slow, they're like, oh, it hurts. Well, it only hurts because you're working those muscles now that would normally just go through the momentum of the motion sort of idea, like the pose running method sort of idea, where you're just sort of leaning forward and letting your legs catch up. Now what you're doing is you're using all your leg muscles when you're running that slower pace, and although it seems kind of hard at the time, you recover so much faster. And again, running is all about recovery, because it's not how much you can do on a particular day or how fast you do it. It's how fast you can recover from doing it to be able to do it again.
It's interesting. We've sort of gotten onto this theme of the importance of recovery. You know, there's obviously faster running incorporated in any program and walking, because we do intervals. We do have a recovery, but even with this slide here, there I put always need recovery built into your program. The number one component, assuming you're following a program, the number one component to success, coaches around the world will agree, folks, that it is about recovery. So we're going to move along here. Those of you that will have completed the Run Stronger program means that you will be completing a 10K event hopefully more efficiently. You will feel stronger. In some cases, depending on your age, it may be that you are actually completing and running faster than you ever have before. You've been doing intervals at race pace and faster, and you may choose, in the previous slide, I suggested that running and walking programs, they're always cyclical. The programs you are following for Run 10K Stronger are modeled after high-performance 10K runners. So the intervals you were doing follow a logical, progressive pattern. And guess what? You take a few recovery weeks of maintenance, and then you decide to set another 10K as a goal, maybe another 12 weeks from now or sooner. You can, in fact, repeat the entire program that you just went through, and you'll repeat it at a level that's a little bit faster and or more efficient than it was the time before. The more training you have in your back pocket, the years of experience, it starts off as weeks, then it's months, then it's years, you'll find it's much easier to get to a place of efficiency much easier after a break than it ever was, because you've just got those many years under your belt.
I call it layers of fitness.
You got it. Yes.
You know, like that tree.
It all really and truly does add up to feeling better and stronger over time. I do suggest to people, too, when you're taking your running and walking a step further, we've been used to preparing about sort of 3 to 4 days a week. It would really be helpful to add, you know, some body work into your program if you haven't done that so far. And that's why I've put incorporating cross-training and body core as part of your training program. That way, if you ever have a niggly ache or pain, you can jump onto a bike or in the pool for your deep water running, or just general fitness. You will find that you're healthier and just overall more body fit and strong to support your RunWalk program. Just in case you're this guy here, just in case, you can do it. I'm telling you right now, whatever you put your mind to, barring unforeseen circumstances, you can do it. So let's get into just a few more specifics, Lauren, about what it takes to bump up the distance. All right, we're going to look ahead to, how about that 10 and 1 concept? In a nutshell, how do you feel about 10 and 1s for people that are especially embarking on this kind of journey for the first time?
It's kind of funny because when we look at some of the Jeff Galloway, who introduced this kind of thing a few years ago, sort of idea, for me now to talk about it in our running group where we don't take the walk break sort of thing, I still like the idea. Mm-hmm. I still think it's a good thing to do. I think it's a great thing. It's a way of not only, you know, walking briskly just to get, you know, some of the stiffness out of your legs kind of idea, but just to hydrate without, you know, swallowing a lot of air or something like this in the middle of a run. It's good to take those short breaks. And I especially recommend them when people are running a longer distance that maybe they haven't done before. And if they're kind of uncertain about it, to take those breaks, it just gives you the confidence next time to just get right through it. So it's a real confidence builder, and whether you do it throughout the entire run or whether you just do it in your training sort of idea, it's very, very important. You know, again, it's all about the rest breaks to make sure that you cover the distance safely.
Exactly. And I will add that I know many people who have completed half marathons and marathons and 10Ks too, both running steadily as well as doing them with that 10 and 1 concept. And many will say that they actually completed the distances faster and with less sort of overuse discomfort than if they completed it fully. And we're not talking about, you know, the sort of the high-end performance athletes. Of course, they run steadily from start to finish. But those of you that this is a reasonably new experience and a life experience, you can consider what we're talking about with those 10 and 1s. So, Lorne, in your program, we never have enough time. We never have enough time.
Oh, sorry.
In your program with the half and the full, how many days a week do you have your groups preparing?
We have, again, levels of fitness. I have a chart that's built into our program saying that if this is your first time, you know, running a half marathon or training for a full marathon sort of thing, the commitment is basically 3 days a week. Once you've completed one of our clinics, which is roughly 16 weeks or something like that, then we add in a 4th day, but it's a specific day. It's a specific day because it's built around recovery.
Okay,
so,
good.
As time goes on, you can add to your fitness. But to try and do everything all at the same time and, you know, build in the speed work and build it, you just can't, you know, you've got to be very, very careful with your program. That's why it's really, really good to get involved with the program because that way it's laid out for you. There's no guesswork involved with it sort of thing, and you're not getting some sort of online conflicting ideas. You know, trust the program that you're in, go through it, like the SportMed program is just fabulous sort of idea in getting people safely through it sort of idea. And, you know, it builds confidence.
It does. And what about, there was a slide there just to suggest those of you that are walkers, what about considering walking as far as a half or a full?
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. I knew you would say that. Thank you.
No, it's right now, let's say, for example, myself, and just to back it up to what we were earlier talking about, you know, the idea of running 10 and walking 1. I've run under 32 minutes for a 10K before, and I use the 10 and 1 in parts of my training sort of idea. I've run under 2:30 for a marathon, and again, I use 10 and 1 as parts of my training sort of idea. So it's some people consider that kind of high performance sort of idea. I consider it a mid-packer, but still, you know, it's still it's up there, and yet, you know, I'll use these techniques as part of my training because, again, it's about recovery.
Yes, and we suggest that you have a number of months under your belt before you think about bumping up your distance from the 10K to the half. And I do think logically, progressively, it would make sense to go to the half first and then the full, folks. Some of you will do the whole enchilada right off the get-go, and we don't have control over that. But as a coach, I would recommend you start with the half and progress to the full. Find yourself a good program. Find yourself a training group that includes all of these kinds of components. And there are books out there, there's programs online, there's many ways to get to the same point, but I would suggest that you choose a program that you know is tried and true and has been out there for a long time, and there are many options out there. So Lorne, we have only like 5 minutes. Here's an example of what could happen for somebody that is post 10K. They're a beginning runner. They've completed a 10K, and they'd like to you know, begin to progress for the half. Now, what I wanted to look at with you is just what it could be a long run day. In your experience, how far do those first timers need to go in order to then successfully complete a half event?
When we start a half program, we start them at 6K, and we build up from 6 kilometers right up to around the 20-kilometer mark that 3 weeks before the event.
Right. So we're not...
And again, that's allowing a 16-week period.
Exactly. So 16 weeks, folks, to get to that half marathon period, and you've started with being comfortable completing 6 kilometers. Did you say 6 kilometers?
6 kilometers.
Right.
You know, you always want to do the things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like a lot of the people are trying to do, you know, progress too quickly through a program. And too much too soon is probably the #1 cause of having any sort of sport ache sort of thing. Think about, too, it's mostly about training sort of idea, not so much about racing. Like, we've got people in our clinic who love to, you know, every 2 to 3 weeks go in an event or something like this, and we have to tell them, decide which is most important to you. Is it the end result in 16 weeks, or is it that race you want to do this weekend?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to approach this race this weekend, approach it with less enthusiasm. And that's a tough one to do because they always want to push. Yeah.
People want to push, and interesting you bring that up just because as one of our last slides here, this was an avid runner that I coached who battled constant injuries, but who definitely pushed the envelope on pacing, didn't understand how important recovery was, and definitely just trained too many days during the week on the legs because she just wound up with kind of injury issues always just, you know, a month before the event. And for her, we found that we didn't have to take her up any further than 11 to 12 miles prior to her half marathon experience. And even then we hovered around the 11, and then, you know, a week or 2 weeks later just popped up to that half distance, and she was just golden and ran her personal best times. And what I want to show you is that here, one day was cross training, so off the legs, but still putting in the mileage without the impact, everybody. Here was a nice, easy recovery run here with a few little strength component exercises, A's, B's, and C's. Then we did an interval session that for her never got faster than what would have been her sort of 10K pace. We're back recovering again, that recovery word again. This component was easy to start with, and then every couple weeks we introduced a faster, steady run here at kind of what would have been her half marathon race pace. Then we're off the legs on a Saturday, and then the long run day, you know, just progressively getting closer to that half marathon distance. Later on, she was able to go beyond that distance, but not in the beginning. And you know what? Her times, Lorne, never actually improved by introducing a longer run, because for her, she wound up injured if she ran too far.
Oh, definitely. I think the other thing, too, is going back to your Tuesday thing, the plus ABCs, is people don't realize how important it is to go through the running motions, but just with a little bit more movement, so that you're building more muscle and getting more flexibility in the muscles, so that they just basically are stronger and they last longer when you're out there. I think getting a lot of, you know, core strength and getting that coordination and strength in the hip area sort of thing is so important as we get, you know, build on the distance, because as a lot of runners will say, you know, if they're not doing any of this stuff, boy, my hips are sore after a long run.
Exactly. Oh, Lorne,
you know,
time is up. We can't say it all or do it all, even remotely, in a half an hour. So, folks, Lorne has a wonderful clinic at Peninsula Runners in White Rock. The Sunrun stores offer clinics throughout the Lower Mainland. Of course, you're now involved with SportMed and programming, and you can look towards half marathon programming for 2015 next year. We're looking at providing that for people as an option. So I wish you all the best in whatever journey you choose. It's the right one for you. There's no wrong decision, whether you're climbing, cycling, doing that old tough mutter up at Whistler, whether you choose to run faster or walk faster over 5K and 10K, or whether you decide to bump up your training and tackle the half and full marathon distances. Thank you for joining us today. See you at the Sun Run if you're going to be there, and all the best with your 10K wherever you are in this province. Lorne, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye, everybody, and we'll talk to you post-sun run. Bye now.